Well, we have to look at what the stories are, and already my sweet colleagues are here. No, one is a man. Yeah, men too can be sweet. So, but today's your birthday, and this one is coming from myself, Edwin, along the rest of the family. We have Stella, we have Mommy, and all those in Canada, in Tema, and also in Adenta and elsewhere. This one is to you, Mrs. Yvonne Apaka Akrofie Siedu. You are a teacher at the Oasis Christian Academy at Ahunjo in Kumasi, Ahunjo, Kumasi. Please enjoy your birthday. Your cake is on all of us, so it will be brought to you. We've already done the orders, so please enjoy yourself. Sister Yvonne, you know we all love you, right? It's from Elom and the rest. But good morning to you, Adroya Boa, as well as Kofi, Joseph Frimpong Akable.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah.
How are you?
I'm great.
Yeah.
I'm great. Today we're looking forward to the British emissaries who will be coming to the studio. We'll have a great interaction with us. We wait for the Prince and the Duchess of Cornwall to be in, Prince Charles.
Yeah.
And the day
absolutely.
I go to England, it will be wow. I'll go and visit the Buckingham Palace.
Keep dreaming. All right. Good morning.
dream.
Just join us.
We're
about to do. We're about doing the newspapers, but I want to say shout out to my designer, Ajwayaboa Clothing. And on Thursdays and Fridays here on the AM show, it's all about Woodine Le Creator. So
you
thanks
look
to
good.
Woodine for the fabric.
There's something about
and
you these days.
Ajwayaboa Clothing
What have you been
for the
eating?
design.
I think a lot
And
of
thanks
pork.
for joining us. Okay, so let's do the newspaper straight away. But I want to also tell you that a bit of our show this morning will come to you from outside the studio, because this is the day when the Cosmos and Cosmos Innovation Center Agritech Challenge is the finals for the competition. There's $50,000 on the table, but that's not what the fun is really. It's about young people starting their own business and solving problems and issues in agriculture. So the challenge, the final of the challenge is today. And we have conversations out of that on the show. We're talking about developing and managing startups and also branding. So we're talking self-branding and business branding as well. And that's the conversation that we're bringing to you because of the challenge later this morning. So you have to definitely stay with us and not flip. Okay, Kofi, begin.
Front page of Daily Guide, like I always do.
Why are you smiling?
Yeah, because he's mischievous. Anybody who likes Daily Guide is mischievous.
Well, NPP dares NDC over Nyantechi is the first story on the front page of the Daily Guide. There's also Tumfor Storms, KNUST, with Step Aside VC. So there's a photograph of
He
the
went
Vice
to the
Chancellor.
VC?
Yes, Professor Obri Danso. Yeah, that's interesting. Baumia motivates youth also on the front page, and Unibank director strike KPMG also on the front page of the Daily Guide. That of the Daily Dispatch now. At the front page of the Daily Dispatch, it has this story about the opposition NDC and its internal elections. It says, if JDM wins, who will be his running mates? Will it be Ahoy, Fusu, or Butcher is the question that the Dispatch is asking. Overview of ICT in Greater Accra, Ashanti and Central regions, also on the front page of the Daily Dispatch. The back page has the story about former President Mahama and the internal elections, but also says KNUST routes who will pay the 1.7 million cedis needed to repair damage. That's the question.
That's the estimated costs.
1.7 million.
I saw you
cedis.
put on Facebook yesterday.
Yeah, that's so much money.
Yeah, that's a
1.7
lot of
million.
money.
The distraction. Who's going to pay for
I'm
it?
sure the vehicles, all the vehicles included.
Yeah, I expect them to be added. I mean, if they are not, they should add those up and they should levy it on the students, obviously. They are the ones who engage in the distraction.
Yeah.
Can we ask any insurance expert? So how would they take care of that? Would that be covered if, let's say, it's a third party or no?
If
a
it's
comprehensive.
third party, forget it. Let's do the Daily Graphic newspaper. Front page of the
I
graphic.
love the way you just snapped
Supreme
up.
Court Quashes ruling on University of Education Winneba. High Court decision breached natural justice. This is a big one. Nyantechi to appeal FIFA ban and fine. Government raises no objection. ExxonMobil to start oil exploration at Cape 3 Points comes with a picture of the sector. Minister John Peter Amewu ease in doing business. Ghana ranks 6 places higher according to World Bank report. NAPCO employees start work today. Another headline, back page of the paper now. Northern Region Coordinating Council, Chinese institutes sign agri-tech agreements, and 23 health facilities in Northern Region receive medical equipment. By way of headlines in the Daily Graphic newspaper, front and back page. All right, what paper are we doing?
Okay, so let me look at the Ghanaian Times. Ghanaian Times has on the front page, Ghana Building Code unveiled. It's on page 16 of the paper. You have a picture in which we have the Vice President, all smiley, presenting a copy of the Ghana Building Code to Dr. Gepathi Kilakenchere. And then we also have Build a Prosperous Africa. President urges the international community. Parliament condemns killing of Saudi Arabian journalists. They haven't condemned the slapping of Parker Wilson yet, but it's all in order. They'll do that subsequently, I'm sure, after they've heard me or seen me. So, Supreme Court quashes default judgment against Professor Avoka. On the back page of the Ghanaian Times, we have Temahaba must be entry point for imported textiles. Sir? Okay. And then we have stakeholders brainstorm on affirmative action. But let's look at the Business and Financial Times. It says 2019 budget will sustain good progress made. A story attributed to Deputy Minister of Finance. The Deputy Minister of Finance, Abna Osei Asari. We also have acute drug shortage hit health facilities as suppliers refuse NHIS approved rates. Meanwhile, drugs still are not being transported with drones as promised by the Vice President yet. I'm sure once we get our geolocations all correct. Pursue excellence to beat global competition, and while urges businesses. TECPE warns against vanishing petroleum revenues, and World Bank ease of doing business report. Paperless ports move Ghana up. So we have all the stories there. They have an opinion by very intelligent lady. She has a column, beaten and bold lessons for media leadership. And we have
Esther you're talking about?
Yeah, definitely. Estama. We have the paper, the last one I'll look at, the Business Finder. Ease of doing business report. Ghana moves up 6 places from 120 in 2018 to 114 in 2019. Okay, and then they have the market summaries. Building code, a game changer according to the Vice President. ICU reject housing project with pension funds. And those are the stories we have. Joseph Akable, anything you want to look at?
Not too sure.
No, let me finish with the other papers. Okay. The Today newspaper and the Daily Statesman, which we have not touched on yet. So let's do the Today first. Front page, Supreme Court overturns ruling on dismissed University of Education Winneba VC. There's a picture of the former Vice Chancellor there, Professor Mauto Avoka. Otumfor storms KNUST has destroyed properties cost 1.7 million Ghana cedis. Mahama Guzi in blows over posters. Pictures of the two on the front page of the paper. Let's do the Daily Statesman now. NAPCO trainees starts work today. Also state terminates Sinopec gas deal, saves 10 million Ghana cedis each month, according to the story. Help build a prosperous Africa. Akufo-Addo urges OECD. President is in the handshake with the Secretary General of the organization. All right, so by way of headlines, that's what we have on the front page of the Daily Statesman.
Okay, so now let's look at the papers in detail. Which story do you want to look at?
I want to do the story about this decision, this Supreme Court decision, because this was this has been, in fact, even when the KNUST matter started, we were citing the University of Education Winneba issue a lot of the times, but this is also the issue that Professor Atogba was involved in, remember, and then he decided to step aside because of all the reasons that he gave. But let's read a bit of the details. Story by Emmanuel Ebohoxen. You were in court yesterday?
No, I wasn't.
Okay. So it says the Supreme Court has quashed judgments by the Winneba High Court that declare the immediate past governing council of the University of Education, Winneba, as illegal. On May 2, 2018, the Winneba High Court, presided over by Mr. Justice George Atto Mills Graves, held that the immediate past governing council of the University of Education, Winneba, overstayed its tenure as stipulated by law. The court therefore declared all the decisions of the council, including appointments and the award of certificates, as quotes null and void, unquote. The legal action that culminated in the High Court's decision was initiated by Supi Kofi Kwaria, a former assembly member of a suburb of Winneba, with the defendants as the University of Education, Winneba, and the Ministry of Education. But I want to fast forward and go to as they made the decision. And the reason the story comes with Justice Doche is because he was part of, in fact, he was presiding judge.
The Supreme Court.
The 5-member panel presided over by, yes, Mr. Justice Jones Doche, but he was one of 5.
One of 5.
Exactly. And this is something that he says in the judgment, quotes, the trial courts seriously erred, by which reason its decision must not be made to stand. In the circumstance, the judgment of the High Court dated May 2, 2018 is hereby quashed, unquote. And, you know, emphasis on seriously erred. And the reason for natural justice, they didn't give them the opportunity to defend themselves.
But if you read the upper part where you read initially, you realize that it talks about the decision saying that because the governing council had overstayed the period, that was the decision that the High Court arrived at, in which case the Supreme Court has quashed that decision. So you realize that the bits about the Vice Chancellor's removal and all those things are not subjects that the Supreme Court dealt with, as we may have seen in the public discourse that has ensued subsequently. So what it means now is that we are told the Vice Chancellor they need to go back to the High Court and now argue the issues about whether that governing council had overstayed its period. Mind you, this Vice Chancellor, that is the one who is challenged, the dismissed one, was removed by the new governing council that set him aside. So not the one that had overstayed its tenure. So those are issues that...
This is and I think that we were worried that this day was going to come. Because the moment you appoint a new person, and this is like the basic, you are the courts person, this is basic. Like this decision, this was what started the whole exercise. So if you didn't give me the opportunity to defend myself, but we built on it, and we are at a place where now we have a new VC and we have a new governing council. Yeah,
because I know that subsequently we've had one person who has been a protagonist in all this, a legal practitioner, member of parliament, Afenyo Marking, and all the interpretation that had been...
Well, Afenyo Marking is with one party, as in lawyer for one party. It's not him in person.
Yeah, sure.
In fact, there's a statement that is from the University of Education, Winneba. It's signed by Paul Osei Berima. He's a lawyer, he's also the registrar for the school. And it says, purported reinstatement of the former Vice Chancellor of UEW, Professor Mauto Avoke, by the Supreme Court. It says the attention of the management of UEW has been drawn to a news story being circulated widely on media to the effect that the former Vice Chancellor has been reinstated by the Supreme Court effective Wednesday, 31st October 2018. We wish to emphatically state that the story is just a figment of the imagination of its author or authors and an attempt to stampede the smooth administration of the university, and above all, intended to bring the name of the Supreme Court into disrepute. So they go on to say that that is not the case. For the avoidance of doubt, we entreat the general public and admonish anyone interested in the ruling of the Supreme Court to obtain a certified copy of the judgment without overly relying on half-truths.
I haven't heard anybody say that the Supreme Court. I mean, look at all the papers today. Everybody's talking about the natural justice bit. Nobody has said, they've said, his removal was illegal. That was not
I think taking a cue from what you said and what has transpired so far, I don't know. For those who are proponents of what transpired subsequently leading to the inauguration or swearing in of a new VC, etc., by the new council, then that could be the basis for which they could be arguing on. But this one fundamentally addresses the issue about what may or may not have happened and whether an opportunity was given to the old person who was removed to seek redress in a way, whether he's aggrieved or not, or feels that perhaps processes and regulations may not have been followed for his removal. And that's the basis. Now, if people would do then the interpretation, subsequently they will say that once the processes based on what the ruling of the Supreme Court have been untoward or are an affront to the regulations of the law, then in essence it means that after all the things that may have transpired could be void or may not have been appropriately undertaken. And that is where the conclusion could be drawn.
When the fundamentals are weak.
And I'm not sure I'm not sure anybody has said that the new VC as installed should not be in office. People are making interpretation based on what the Supreme Court has concluded or ruled to mean that, well, once they are questioning that seriously, you've not given an opportunity to somebody who may now, based on what we say, is aggrieved, then it means that we have to go back and then start the processes, and ultimately people could see that, well, it could lead to a certain conclusion.
Yeah. You've developed essentially on very weak fundamentals. So how then do we believe in the structure, what you've put up? And I think that it's big ups to the Supreme Court, because these decisions are not easy.
And it's a good thing. It shows that the courts are willing and ready to give
irrespective of what.
And so that is why we want people not to take the law into their own hands where they feel they are aggrieved. I mean, the legal process says this. If you have a genuine case, feel free and use the
Let me mention all the judges. So the judges who sat on this case, the 5-member panel presided over by Justice Jones Doche, there was Justice Anthony Benin, Mrs. Justice Vida Akoto Bamfo, Mr. Justice Yawa Pau, and Mr. Justice Gabriel Pauman as members. And this was a unanimous decision.
And we have to state it right here now, that one of the essentials of law is to make sure that there's some element of equity. So that people are given the opportunity.
I think the courts have consistently established that you need to give people a fair hearing.
And we have to accept things in good faith, because, for example, if you look at the KNUST issue, people have questioned not the action necessarily taken by government, but on what position government stood to take the action that it took. Because of course we know the action taken by government ensure that there was calm and normalcy.
Even the NTC, we've asked, are they the appointing authority?
Very good.
To the extent that they would issue a letter and say that step aside.
Very good.
You know, we just go around in circles. Why don't we give people the opportunity and do things the right way? Well, how much would that cost us?
Exactly.
I think this cost us a lot more, because then people, like you said, begin to read into it, and we don't trust the system, and then we say everything is political. And it's true. If you look at the way we are doing things,
and we have to make sure that once we say that we are using the rule of law as our guiding principles as a society, then we have to use it to the letter. Not try to perhaps implement it in a way and give people opportunity some ways and try to deny others some opportunity. Look, if we had waited, we'd make sure that the regulations and the course of actions take due course. Perhaps whoever had any intent of having a certain status quo, as we see today, could have gotten that opportunity or not.
You know, this is not a bit related, but not so related. We've debated about judges who err in their decisions and what kind of punishments we could give them, you know. Well, because sometimes they make it so difficult.
And I remember there was a forum at GIMPA in which this same gentleman, Professor Raymond Atuguba, you know,
I recall perfectly.
And this one, of course, it was in relation to the election petition and all that. And even the same Justice Doche stood up and was not happy, etc. But it was also about the actions and inactions of those who are the courts presiding over cases. Of course, they are human, but they're also cloaked by a certain immunity to do what they have to do. But if your actions seem to trample on people's rights or have not been accepted positively, then it means that you just need to look at some introspection.
That is why I agree with private legal practitioner Gordon Tamaklo when he said that that research findings by Professor Tuguba may not have necessarily been accurate, because his argument was that if the judges vote based on orientation or partisan lines like he had suggested, when you pick the decisions that matter most to the appointing authority, you should see that trend occurring. This is a clear case, it didn't happen.
Well, but was this a political case? No.
Well,
it won't fall in that category.
It is not a political case, but mind you, it has political implications because we know for a fact that concerns have been raised about the president not attending the swearing-in of the new VC. We know who is the legal representative for the assemblyman in this matter and everything.
Okay.
So there's a bit of
to some extent
in there.
All right.
But on school issues, the KNUST stories here, just those who may not be aware, we are told that what has been destroyed is about 1.7 million cedis. We are told that this may rise. Because the other issues that have not been factored in. We are told that the shops that were destroyed, those items have not been, the costing has not been done to be added to it. But this includes the halls, the administration block where they destroyed laptops, computers, among others. There is also, so the university PRO told the Daily Guide that the university authorities have not yet decided on who would bear the cost of the destroyed items, adding that the university is still taking stock of items looted by the students.
So why don't they wait and take a complete stock before they start giving us figures? And they should be ready, because we're going to ask them who gave us this estimate. I mean, how did they arrive at that? They shouldn't scare us with 1.7.
I actually feel the figure should be more than 1.7 million.
Why is that? You're just looking at the things, you are assuming.
I'm not even looking at the administration block and those things. We are told that about 40 vehicles were damaged. So it's just the vehicles that I'm thinking of.
Well, not completely. You are not replacing all the vehicles.
That's true. So the costing should come, and more importantly, who bears that? For me, you know where I stand.
That's what the students don't want to hear.
I know they don't want to hear that, but I mean, they are the ones who. They are the ones who. And what is interesting is, I'm told there is the student fund, what their contributions go into. The management has access to that fund.
And
the management has access to that fund. In fact, I'm told that the students have for years been fighting, wanting to be the sole signatories to that fund, and that has not happened yet.
No, they haven't said they want to be sole. They have said that they go for meetings and they agree on what they want to use their monies for, but then somebody has to vet. But you know, students, they've agreed. This is our own contribution, like your SLC contributions, and you've decided to do end of year party, and then Dean says, no, do this,
they don't
do
want
that.
The father figure.
I mean, yeah, like, but that's not right.
But in this case,
no, but they're in tertiary institutions, so they're supposed to be independent.
Once they vote and decide as a group that this is what we want to use our money for, yes.
No oversight, no checks and balances.
But you know,
what are you checking?
But they've been in this case, they have damaged property, and the guy who is in charge of their funds is going to decide who bears the cost. He doesn't decide that he would use the student funds to pay off this. He doesn't decide that.
Well, this morning I was just watching or listening to Professor, the one from UHAS. Is it Professor Japon?
Yes, John Japon. Yeah.
John Japon. Okay.
The Vice Chancellor.
And he, if I have to paraphrase him, said that looking at how the students reacted, perhaps the heads of universities and other related tertiary institutions need to look at how they can improvise or change the leadership ways by which they tend to manage students or young people. That also brings into perspective about sometimes issues of generational gap and trying to have change managers in institutions across the world. And my mind quickly went to what happens in football, and an article I read in the Daily Mail recently about how, for example, the Manchester United coach Mourinho and his tactics and the way perhaps you coach a certain generation of players the old times and how things have changed. You have young people who have become vociferous. Because they have a good thinking cap, they make money quickly than others, or they've been given that room to be boisterous, to go at everything that they want. So the mindset has changed. And so too we have young people in universities now. And yesterday I had very young people who are in the Gimpa Law Faculty. And you could see that the way they express themselves at my age, I couldn't have. Because the way you were brought up was different, the way the relationship with the parents and the environment was different.
So we need a...
So we need leaders to acknowledge that the generation that they are managing have changed. That generation...
And more importantly, in taking decisions, their views are very important.
Exactly.
Yes. But the challenge is that for the government council, there is only one student representative, which is always just the SRC president. It's the case
so that's why they have to move from just the council and begin to accommodate larger forums where people can you know,
I agree.
come up with the allow people to also have a say. Let them feel that they were part of the decision.
When you go to the village and they are taking a decision about driving, the oldest person who doesn't even know how to drive is the one who often decides because of his age. Obviously,
we've moved away, and I always say that if you left your child today, a very young child, with someone who was not familiar with how children are these days, they would think that that child was being disrespectful, because they will tell you straight to the face what they think, and that's how they are these days. True. You know, you have to, you just have to
and the things they learn in the environment from so many sources or mediums makes them quickly come to certain conclusions because of where they have sourced that information from and how the information was perhaps disseminated to them. And so you get to find that even your own child tend to teach you things which they even you as an adult may not have averted your mind to, and you'll be surprised. So you ask them, where did you get it? And they tell you, this is where we got it from.
So you have to be accommodating. I like that very much. We still have very old, you know, you can be old and think like the young people.
For example, if you're old and you grew up in, let's say, the UK or something before you came to Ghana, your mindset has already changed because they started that thing long ago. Where if you abuse a child, the child can call a police officer.
Orientation you have that influences your decision-making process. It's not such that you can acquire. When you have it, you have it. That's your makeup.
We need more of an open door policy, like open door.
I love
That's the era that we're in.
Yeah, open door.
Yeah, open door.
True.
All right, I think we have to go online, right?
Yes, we have to go online because I think our viewers also should remember we have a conversation on child marriage, and I would want to pick your view on having a 15-year-old sister or a friend's daughter, 15 years, just whisked into an early marriage. How would you feel about it?
I'll stop it if I can. I'll stop it. I mean, 15 is too young. I mean, they should. 15, it means the person may have been in SHS1 or something. I mean, no, it's too young.
I mean, the laws allow you can have sex from 16.
Yeah, but I mean,
you are regarded as an adult at 18. You're allowed to enter into contracts and things like that, I think, at 21. There are stages. But as a parent, you don't want to marry even an 18-year-old who is termed as an adult, you know, off. And when we are doing the story, we have to mention our colleague Erastus Asaridonko in Kumasi, because, I mean, he did an incredible thing. Met a story, which is a young girl who was being in school, being married off. But he didn't just tell the story. He alerted the police, and I think timely intervention stopped the marriage ceremony, which was already in its second day.
I just hope the social support system will kick in to assist the young lady if what has happened will destroy the relationship between the lady and the family members who may be providing for her. I just hope that we're able to do that.
I think that's the problem, because the girl is being kept now, but for how long? For how long can somebody else take care of the girl, you know? So we're discussing that issue after sports this morning here on the show.
And we have a video just for you. This is and that's what we're focusing our attention on this morning. But remember, we'll also go to the Marriott Hotel. We have live events coming. There's the finals.
Wait. Say I am going to Marriott Hotel.
Yeah, she's going, not for breakfast. She won't get the buffet breakfast.
So, you know, Prince Charles and the Duchess of Cornwall will visit Ghana. They are in Ghana tomorrow for a number of days.
They're concluding their visit to the Gambia today.
Exactly, but they are in Gambia, Nigeria before they come to Ghana. Today we'll take the opportunity and talk about the Commonwealth, the relationship, Ghana, Britain, Is China and the other emerging countries putting pressure on these countries that we've been so close with for a very long time? And then, of course, investment opportunities, all that conversation coming up on the show. But you also have to join our conversation with young people who've started their own businesses. They're going to share their experiences and the challenges as we talk about developing and nurturing startups. Also, we will talk about branding. So our show is fully loaded today.
Yeah.
Is there a court session?
This NCA issue, I don't know whether it will be open to the public today. You know, there's a witness that we are told is from National Security who is testifying in the case. So the courtroom was
He can't be seen.
No, we are told the information he will be given it has national security implications. So the courtroom was cleared on Tuesday.
So that will be, what do they call it, in camera?
Yes, in camera.
So what happens then as a court reporter?
You don't have that.
You get a briefing after?
You don't get it at all.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Would it be in the court documents? How did you call it?
It will be captured in the judgment subsequently.
Okay.
But judgment, before you lay your hands on that.
Just take us through.
MyJoyOnline.com. It says plans to reshuffle Parliament committee hit snag as MPs protest. The other headline: government not sure the Nyantichis coming from the Deputy Attorney General, Joseph Dendiok. JoyNews to broadcast live the royal visit to Ghana. An economy regains momentum, moves 6 places in latest World Bank reports. Ghanaians are hoping it moves 6 places in their pockets as well. I can say that too.
Thank you.
Alabi plans throwing out Mohammed's showy campaigns if you want that details of that story, you can get it on myjoyonline.com. Nyantichi ban, I fought a system, not a personality. That is coming from the investigative journalist Anas Arimi Anas. Cost of destruction at KNUST estimated at 1.6 million cedis with a photograph of the Ottoman.
So I thought it was 1.7
on the side. Someone at online is keeping about 100,000. The last one, yes, Supreme Court Quashes High Court ruling on dismissed UEW Vice Chancellor. There's a photograph of Professor Mautu Avoke. You can find details of that story on myjoyonline.com.
All right.
You go up, they said if you don't have any ID, you will not be served at Forex Bureau, Bank of Ghana.
No.
No.
You see, when the fundamentals are weak, do we have the ID cards?
No, so this will make people go to the black market.
Why do you do this to yourself? Excuse me, do you have your ID card?
I haven't even had my details taken.
Maybe they're not talking about national identity card. Maybe they're talking about any other national ID card.
Passports, driver's license. Okay,
but see what he said. They're driving people. Was it you, Roland? They're driving people to the black market.
Yeah.
How many of us carry ID cards on us every day?
All right, we have to go to the BBC. While we prepare the BBC, it's about a number of stories there. Anti-gay force launch in Tanzania. The team has already been tasked with identifying and arresting gay people.
So it's a governor, who said, because I think is that what he said? The police said that it was difficult to find people.
The targets on social media.
It was difficult to find people.
But how would you know whether somebody through social media was gay?
He said that he has a task force. So if you know anyone, come and report to him, and he'll get his guys.
But you can find people who are homosexuals or gay people, and they don't look like Ojobisia or anything. They just look normal.
Go to Tanzania. Nigerian doctors separate conjoined twins. Sad one. U.S. missionary killed in Cameroon. Nigeria police arrest 400 shy Muslims. Benin youths and ex-FA boss imprisoned.
Because Nyantichi has just received a ban. We're talking about that. We have to end the conversation today, okay? And this one is to you. Good morning, Kennedy Kojo Edemboche. You teach business management and economics at my school I attended, Bishop Herman Colleges in Kando. Good morning to you. I hope you're having a nice time as well. And then also to my good friend, you're the assembly member for the Hohwe. Okay, you're an assembly member at a community in the Hohwe constituency. That'll be an area in the Hohwe constituency. Godfred Kofi, aka Dukomevi. Good morning to you as well.
All right, we hope that you enjoyed our time with you with the reviews. Go to the newsstands and grab the newspapers and read in detail. Stay with us. We'll bring you some sport news right after this, and then we'll begin the conversations. We'll bring you the one with some people. I mean, you'll be surprised the people involved in this, marrying off very, very young girls. So stay with us. This is the AM show. Benedict is up next.